Stormy Daniels now claims that she is a medium and that she communicates with dead people and has participated in a TV series about the paranormal where she explores things, including the fact that at one point an ex-boyfriend of hers was inhabited by spirits.
This woman has done nothing but make money since the day she met Donald Trump. And yet she admits that she hates him. She says, as you say, John, that he should be made accountable. But at the same time, she is absolutely really dug in on the idea that she's happy she's going to be dancing if he goes to jail. She is going back and forth on Twitter, responding to people in vicious ways. But I think most telling about the testimony today was that this was a masterclass in cross-examination.
As you're going to see, Judge Jeanine absolutely shreds the testimony of Stormy Daniels. You know, I watch the news so you don't have to, and I really try to be objective. But over the past 2 days, I've come to the conclusion that Stormy Daniels is bat poop crazy. She's an older Britney Spears. She's a younger E. Jean Carroll. If Trump is guilty of anything, he's guilty for ever talking to this gold digger. That first clip that you saw in my opening was absolutely true. She actually went on the stand and told the court and the jury, I talked to dead people. There's no way that CNN, MSNBC, any of the liberal media can defend that. At that point right there, the jury must have wondered, why are we even here? And it's funny because that clip of her saying she talked to dead people, as reported on MSNBC, has been completely scrubbed from all of the networks. I don't even think Fox reported it. If Stormy Daniels is one of the star witnesses for this case, it's over. You have to imagine at this point that Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan are going to have to ask the jury to ignore their personal integrity so that they can get a conviction on Donald Trump, because that's the only way Trump gets convicted. Nobody with a functioning brain would take this trial seriously. It's no wonder that the judge didn't want this kangaroo court televised. Let's listen in and react to what Judge Jeanine had to say about the testimony of Stormy Daniels.
One thing that really kind of stuck with me through this whole ordeal with Stormy on the stand was the following in cross-examination. When Susan Nicholas said to Stormy Daniels, am I correct that you hate President Trump? Stormy Daniels said yes. Nicholas says, you want him to go to jail, right? Stormy Daniels, I want him to be held accountable.
And I love what John Roberts says right here. And I really don't understand why the defense attorney didn't ask her that question. What exactly do you want Trump held accountable for? What crime did he commit against you? Didn't get asked. Maybe because you never ask a question you don't already know the answer to, and who knows what would have come out of this woman's mouth. But let's hear what Judge Jeanine has to say about that.
And I'm wondering, what does she want him to be held accountable for? I mean, she's got her own beef with him about a completely different issue, but what dog does she have in this particular fight that's being held out in the court here in New York City today?
Well, if you're asking what dog she has in this race, the only dog she has in this race is well over $1 million that the defense attorney made it clear through repeated examples of the money, you know, the Horny America tour, as well as interviews, the non-disclosure. This woman has done nothing but make money since the day she met Donald Trump.
Now understand, she says she met Trump in 2006. So for 18 years, she has peddled this story and basically rode the back of Donald Trump to make money. And today we found out it's not a little bit of money. This woman has made $1 million plus. They stopped counting. I mean, she did her tour, she did her book, she's on television, she's selling stories. Nearly, probably as much as $2 or $3 million just for telling this story that we don't know if it's even true.
And yet she admits that she hates him. She says, as you say, John, that he should be made accountable. But at the same time, she is absolutely really dug in on the idea that she's happy she's going to be dancing if he goes to jail. She is going back and forth on Twitter, responding to people in vicious ways.
I cannot believe. Let me put it this way. If you had a couple $1 million, would you go out into a strip club and slide around a pole and hang around a pole while there's tawdry men sitting there throwing you dollars? Why would you need to do that? What kind of person does that? I understand, somebody who speaks to dead people.
But I think most telling about the testimony today was that this was a masterclass in cross-examination. You had an attorney who was able to question Stormy Daniels about what she said that the prosecution laid out very clearly, but all of the prior inconsistent statements that are what we use as prosecutors to make the witness incredible.
Now, understand this. This is what really got me today. I did turn on MSNBC to see their coverage of it. And Andrew Weissman, who hates Trump, who's been basically their watchdog on MSNBC, used to work in the Department of Justice. He even said, yeah, they've pretty much undressed her at this point. That's where I put the title Undressed, because he even said Stormy Daniels was exposed.
And this witness was incredible, because between an interview with In Touch, Vogue magazine, Anderson Cooper, as well as the NDA and all of the other surrounding circumstantial evidence, nothing was ever straight. On the one hand, Donald Trump met her here, then he met her there.
Now understand what she just said too there. Nothing was ever straight. Look at the judge's face in this, artist rendering, which, by the way, y'all need to get a new artist, because this guy or woman is horrible. But what's really funny, let me just go to this camera here. Everything that you've heard from Stormy Daniels on the Jimmy Kimmel show, on late night, and whatever she's out there, Piers Morgan, it was all BS. When she had to tell the truth and get on the stand and put her hand on a Bible, and she didn't self-immolate and turn into flame, she actually had to tell the truth as best as she could. And everything she has said on television and everything else, all the coyness that she, basically the innuendos, it was all BS. All of it. She admitted to signing both letters. Remember when she tried to play coy with Jimmy Kimmel and say, I didn't really sign it. And then she tried to go on Piers Morgan and say, I signed it kind of funny so they wouldn't know it was me. Then she tried to say it was a tip-off to Jimmy Kimmel, that there were two different signatures. Her story changed constantly over the last 18 years, over and over and over. Whoever wanted to pay her, they'd get a different story. Now, on the stand, it was completely different, and her delivery was completely different, and she came across as I said earlier, bat poop crazy. But let's go ahead and continue.
Then he was up, then she wasn't afraid of him, but he stood up over her. I mean, she really was all over the case. And when I first saw her on direct, it was clear to me that she was well prepped as a prosecution witness. She was not prepped for cross-examination.
Now understand, I keep saying I understand, I just wanted to let you guys know, I'm sorry for saying understand. When you're going to be on the stand and the prosecutor has time, weeks even, to prep you and say, here's what's going to happen, here's what you need to say when when I ask you this question. When it's time for her to go in front of the defense or basically, be questioned by a hostile party, there's no way you can really coach that. There's some little nuances you can say. You can say, hey, listen, say I don't recall. Don't say it didn't happen. I don't recall. That's an easy one. You can't really go after that statement. Play stupid. I don't remember. I don't recall. Be quick with your answers. Don't go on and on. Don't give them anywhere to go. Is the sky blue? And shut up. But she couldn't even do that. I mean, she just basically has a complex where she thinks she's smarter than people, and she got caught a couple times.
And I think she really lost any sense of credibility when she started talking about her talking to the dead. She's got this ability. She lived in a haunted house. Somebody left her. One of her children's fathers left her because...
Now, this picture was yesterday back in one of the conference rooms while the trial was at break, and she's here hamming it up with one of her attorneys. She doesn't realize she's on the stand. She doesn't realize that people are going to see this. It's going to be all over Facebook. That's where this guy posted it. He was trying to, basically advertise his services. They didn't have a clue the severity of this case and how stupid she looks.
Of this haunted house. I mean, she came across as pretty kooky and not at all believable. And I think it was excellent cross-examination that we saw.
Well, and Judge, to your earlier point, if she hates him, she's vowed not to pay the $500,000 that a judge ordered her to pay. If she won't respect a judge's order, how would she respect the oath that she's taking to give this testimony today? But
and I said that to you guys in a video, I think 1 or 2 videos ago, is she openly went on the stand and said, I hate him. I hate him. You also saw, I hope he gets held accountable. And then she went on the stand and said openly, I am not going to pay him the money I owe him, that a court found that I owe him. I'm not going to do it. Screw him. I don't care what happens. I'm not going to pay him. So if you just told the jury that you're willing to disregard a court order, you don't care what the court order says, that has to dent your integrity quite a bit. Not a little bit, quite a bit.
I want to bring up the line of questioning when she was asked if she ever felt threatened by Trump. Hoffinger says, did you feel threatened by him?
Yep.
Daniels says, no, not physically, although I did note there was a bodyguard right outside the door. There was an imbalance of power for sure. He was bigger and blocking the way, but I mean, I was not threatened verbally or physically.
Yet yesterday she said she kind of felt intimidated. I kind of felt afraid. You know, make up your mind, Stormy. Which was it? Obviously, the prosecutors told her yesterday or maybe this morning, hey, you need to basically not play this I was afraid, I was trapped defense. Tell them how you really felt. You weren't drunk. Everything was fine. I was of my own volition. I intended to go into this room. So, you know, that completely changed overnight.
So how do you square that with her other testimony that she entered into this NDA out of safety?
Now, before she answers that, remember on one of those shows, she said that the NDA was gone. There was no NDA. It was broken. She could do whatever she wanted. That wasn't the story that was told in court.
Yeah, well, you square it away by coming to the conclusion that she is lying because the statements are totally inconsistent. I noticed today that she tried to make it very clear that she wasn't on drugs, she didn't have alcohol, the president didn't force her to do anything. But, you know, it appeared she was trying to pull back from that because there was a lot of concern on direct examination about how she described this imbalance in power. On the one hand, she says that Keith Schiller, the president's former bodyguard, was outside the room, and then he wasn't outside the room.
So many inconsistencies. Like I said, if this jury really has a functioning brain, if they're taking this case seriously, if they're not going to sell their integrity, there's no way Trump can get convicted. None whatsoever.
And, you know, but as I sat there in the courtroom, I couldn't help but say to myself, this is great for the defense because we are so far into reversible error territory that it is pathetic. Because this is totally extrinsic to whether or not a non-disclosure agreement and the parameters of that agreement and who signed it, the agreement, and whether or not it was followed, which is the essence of this crime.
But see, that's the other thing as well. She's talking about that this thing would obviously be overturned on appeal should Trump get convicted. But that's not what's going on here. They all know that. There's no secret. There's no way this thing survives an appeal. But that appeal wouldn't come for 2 or 3 years. Meanwhile, you can bet that Sleepy Joe is going to be all over the place with his demented self saying that he's running against a felon.
Being alleged against the president. That had nothing to do with it. She even said it happened, quote, many years ago. And so, of course, the defense kind of jumped on that and said, you agree it happened many years ago. And so this is the kind of information that is kind of interesting. It's titillating. She comes across, as I said, as contradicting herself over and over. And
she comes across as completely bat poop crazy. That's my word for her. I'm not going to change. I would actually say it even stronger if it weren't for YouTube, but she's nuts.
And then she would say, you know, I didn't do it for the money. I wanted to get the story out. And the cross-examination was, you wanted to get the story out? You could have done a presser Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, any day of the week. But you were waiting. And then you found out from your lawyer the Slate wasn't paying money. So you decided to go with the NDA. Then she breaks the NDA.
Gold digger.
And then she continues to make money. I mean, I'm well over $1 million, $2, $3, $4. This has been her livelihood from from the day she met Donald Trump, who wasn't the president at that point.
And in fact, Susan
and I got to tell you one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
This is the kind of information, as I said, that's not only reversible error, but it's almost entertaining. And when they go into that jury room, she's not going to be relevant because there's nothing that she said that connected Donald Trump with that NDA, that connected Donald Trump with any of the things that she was talking about other than that act that she described differently every time she talked about it. So at the end of the day, and I hate using that term, but in the deliberation room, she didn't lay a finger on the essence of the crimes that are alleged against Donald Trump in that courtroom.
I love how Judge Jeanine just says it directly. Now, there's two things with what she said, though, that I want to address. One, she said she didn't touch Trump in terms of regards of laying a hand on him in regards to the crime. As of right now, after 2 days of testimony from Stormy Daniels, after 14 days of this court trial going on, no one has even shown what a crime is. There is no crime. They're going to need Michael Cohen to come in and try to create a crime, but as of today, there is no crime. None whatsoever. And the other thing that she didn't mention, I'm talking about Judge Jeanine, is Stormy said on the stand, this to me was unbelievable. She said she has not spoken to Donald Trump since 2010. That would mean no contact, nothing in 14 years. So she couldn't possibly tie him to any payment. There's been no contact for 14 years. How the heck is Judge Merchan and Alvin Bragg going to bring this together and say that some crime was committed when there's obviously been no contact? It's been stated by your witness that there's been no contact. So you're going to bring in Michael Cohen to try and make that leap? Good luck. And we'll see either tomorrow or early next week, Michael Cohen will take the stand. I don't know how this farce could become much more absurd, but it certainly will. But there was one tidbit of interesting news today. Trump appealed the gag order to a higher court.
I just want to let you know that we've just filed a major motion in the appellate division concerning the absolutely unconstitutional gag order, where I'm essentially not allowed to talk to you about anything meaningful that's going on in the case, and many good things are going on with the case. It shouldn't have been filed.
I'm not sure how quickly the appellate court will rule, but it's likely, given everything we've seen, that the appellate court will reverse the gag order. And if that happens, the fun will really begin. Let me know what you think about the 2 days of testimony from Stormy Daniels. Personally, I think it was a complete dud, but I'm interested in finding out what you think. And don't forget, everybody, Barry here. I just wanted to invite you to my live broadcast this Saturday night, May 11th, 4:30, as we do a watch party with the Donald Trump rally that's taking place in Wildwood, New Jersey. Donald Trump is heading to the Jersey Shore. I expect that's 40,000, 50,000 people may attend. I'm not really sure how many people will get online. Last week we had 60,000 plus. The rally before in Wilmington, North Carolina, we had nearly 75,000 people watching. I invite you to join me. We have some good fun. I'm going to give out some prizes. Last week I gave out a free hoodie and also like 4 or 5 different gift certificates for restaurants. I'd love for you to join me. Just go ahead and click the button right here to be notified when I go live. See you Saturday at 4:30 for the Wildwood Rally with Donald Trump. Talk to you soon.